Hey, welcome to the show. This is Special Edition. Total Financial Solutions is hosting City Council Candidate Forum. Today we're going to talk to every single City Council candidate. Hey, and if you've followed some of the forums before, these questions aren't going to be the same. We're not going to talk about the same basic stuff that you've heard from before. We don't want to repeat some of those. And we're going to ask a little bit about their personal qualifications, some of the decisions they've had to make in their life, and tough decisions. Boy, look, don't we all have to make tough decisions? Well, our city is wrought with that, isn't it? You know, look, there's always a good way, maybe even a better way, and then, of course, maybe even the best way. So to make decisions in the city, to be a part of that decision-making body that we have, our city council, one is going to want to make sure that the qualifications of the folks that we have leading us are going to be one that fits your values. That's all we're here to do. Show up a mirror and give you a chance to see the candidates. See them as people, of course. They're all wonderful human beings. Nobody that we would say, stay away from. They're bad guys. We want you to select the ones that best represents your values. Well, joining me, I'm Arif Halaby. Of course, joining me is Mr. Mark Murphy.
Good morning, Arif. It's going to be fun. Instead of talking about what they're going to do for us, anybody can talk about the issues, and anybody can criticize the previous generation or the previous people who served. The question is, what's their experience? What did they do in the community, in their neighborhood, in the city? Have they been on boards? Have they served in some form of area where they had to compromise or get things done?
That's interesting you say that, Mark. Compromise, boy, is that not happening now in our federal, sometimes even our state system? So I like that, getting things done.
Yeah.
You've had a long history in this community. You've been here for quite some time. Some of the changes that you have seen over your tenure here as a city resident.
Well, being over 20 years in Canyon Country and being involved in church and a lot of activities in Valencia and Newhall and Saugus, I've seen the major issues, how they've tackled or not been tackled. Of course, we've seen a massive growth in schools. We've seen the population expand, a tremendous amount of construction and building. Environmental issues have been phenomenal and challenging. There's been a lot of solutions. Some have been fixed. Others are still open.
Yeah.
And then there's traffic. We've watched this place be shut down because of the growth that we had and suddenly flowing at certain areas. And then we've seen the bottlenecks of the 14.5 and the Cross Valley areas. How people have addressed fixing that.
Yeah.
And then my favorite is what's happening in the neighborhoods. What are we doing in downtown Newhall? Have we cleaned up the appearance? Canyon Country, when I pulled in there, I always remember there was one road in and out along, quote, Soledad.
Yeah.
It was two lanes, one way, one the other. At least that's how I remember it. Maybe it was a little wider than that when the big rock hit me when I was driving by. But the issue was, we didn't have any kind of medians. It wasn't wide. There weren't lights. Gosh, I remember think I could get across town with 3 traffic lights.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
That's right.
Wow. What about red? These whole red ticket lights.
Some of the median development that we've seen where they've added some of the beautification, the trees, the bushes. Look, that's designed probably in some respect as a safety measure, keeping some of the head-on issues, traffic collisions we've seen in the past, tragic as they were. Maybe that would slow down some of that. Maybe that would stop some of that. I don't know much about that. It's more of a logical thing. But as you go through, you start to see some of the changes. And those changes that are happening, and it's happening right now down Railroad, basically from not quite, I guess that's Magic Mountain. Not quite from Magic Mountain, but right in that area, all the way down to Railroad and Lyons Avenue. That beautification, a lot of traffic, a lot of problems for quite some time. It's going to be that way. But then we have some changes. And I think that the city, the way it was run 20 or 30 years ago, there are changes that have had to be made. I think from a city employee standpoint, we have, I think, more employees than we've ever had in the city. It's wonderful. We need that.
We've grown. We're now much more professional. We have tenured, experienced employees now. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're also tackling more complex problems. I mean, how do you handle zoning issues? Standardization issues, the differences in the neighborhoods? Or what about such issues that we deal with the homeless or the growing drug problem? Or is this a safe city? Do we have a crime problem, or have we managed to get it in place? Or how's our balanced budget?
Yeah, I like that.
Wow, what have we done there?
Fiscally sound folks. We have employees. We have a lot of folks that work for the city. They serve you. That's their job. We never want to become like cities to our south that When you work for the city, that means you suddenly slow down. That means your life is now built about a pension and the clock ticking, and then suddenly you close your eyes and you wake up with a 25 or 30-year pension from now. We don't want that. We want city employees that focus on service, and we have seen that. It's just there tends to be, if we're not careful, in any governmental agency, the desire to bloat, the desire to almost consume as it continues to grow. When you take a look at the state budget, the federal budget, it seems to never go backwards. And yet you and I have had to make financial decisions in our life where we've spent more money some years, spent less other years. So how are these folks going to manage the budget? I know a lot of it is done through Ken Striplin. He's our city manager. But there still is an oversight. The city council still has a responsibility. We're going to learn about what those folks have to say. We're going to learn about what matters to them. I would almost take, if you took somebody who their whole life had a spouse that handled the entire management of the house, right? 3 or 4 children, pick up, drop off, the budget, buying food, when you should buy stuff, when you should wait, managing cash flow. And then you give me somebody who just has a job, I don't know what, you pick a job that sits in a cubicle all day and just enters stuff in a computer, I don't know. And I would almost prefer that stay-at-home spouse, if you will, because the depth of management experience, I never realized the basics that are required when it comes to managing a household. So look, we're not saying that one particular background matters. I'm saying somebody who's had to deal with the management of other people, number one, we want to know about that. Somebody who's had to deal with tough decisions in their life, my gosh, we want to know about that. Give me some of those tough decisions. Let me see what that's all about. What are some of your weaknesses? What matters to you that you have to improve upon? Right? There's some things that I'm just not good at. I don't care how much I study, how much I read, how hard I try. I just don't have an inclination to some things. So what are some of those things? I think you have a right to know, folks. This is for your city council. What are they going to bring to the table? Do we have everybody on city council that's going to have the same management style? That's probably not in our best interest. Are we going to have people on city council that are going to mix it up a little bit with management styles? Some that are a little bit more one way, some that are a little bit more another way. I don't think diversity for diversity's sake means anything. I'm not one of those guys, I'll tell you now. That's not where I'm going. I don't think a room full of people that look different means anything. I think you give me a room full of people that think different, now that means something. If by chance they look different, well, I'm all right with that. But I don't think, having been part of an organization for quite some time, as a matter of fact, part of a division within that organization that's job was to manage diversity, I never saw the benefits. As a matter of fact, I only saw the problems. When you just hire somebody because of the way they look and you never look at the content of their character, you never look at the decision-making capability, right? So get away from that. At least that's not what we're going to talk about here today. We're not going to talk about just because people look different, they're going to think differently. That's not the case.
Well, Arif, you have been a sponsor, the title sponsor for the Leaders of Character, an event that honors couples in the city of Santa Clarita for the past 8 years. And you've looked at what makes those people tick. How do they make decisions? How do they contribute? They've all had different backgrounds. They've had different contributions, different experiences. But you've always found a way to get to the heart of their character. So I assume that's where you're going today.
Well, thanks. You're exactly right. The character of those that have led us in the past, even some of the folks that we have chosen for the Leaders of Character have been, which is a Boy Scout event every year. It's in the fall. Those folks that we have selected as a committee, there's a group of people that make that decision, have always represented past achievement examples. But it wasn't the crowning. It didn't mean that it was over. These are people that are continuing to this day to lead, continuing this day as an example, continuing this day to still make mistakes. That's what we're all about in life. Continuing this day to serve others. And that's important because I think part of this growth of Santa Clarita means we're going to go places we've never gone before.
Right.
We have never been a city of this size, of 200,000, a city of 200,000, but we will. We will be in the next decade.
Well, we're heading towards 250 to 300,000, particularly with the approval of the cities up to 126. So this is a major metropolis. And here we are in one of the largest, most populous counties in the country, and next to one of the largest cities. We have all of those issues that come and impact us. So how we get together, how we work, how we address these issues is going to have to come from who they are as leaders.
It's going to be fun, folks. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. We're going to be streaming live as well. You can go on to Twitter. When we come back, we'll get you our Twitter. I'm going to say that with these.
Twiddle's what I do.
Braces are going to be a challenge, but we can do it this hour as we continue special Total Financial Solutions hosting City Council Candidate Forum right here on your hometown station. This is going to last for 3 hours, folks, so come and go as you will. You can also follow us online at hometownstation.com. Stream with us live, if you will, wherever you are, on your place for news, talk, and information. This is Total Financial Solutions, KHTS, City Council Candidate Forum.